The hashtags I use a lot are face your dragon. So face your fear, take the leap, break free. So we've got to lean in and just go for what we want, and even feel the fear and do it anyway. When we're younger, we're extremely identified with this personality or our label or our title.
Welcome to the Be Better broadcast. Today we are joined by Mr. Brad Axelrad, all the way down in Mexico today. And for those who don't know Brad is an event producer, a consultant, a strategist, and a podcast host, having produced over 150 live events with top business leaders and best-selling authors. As a consultant and speaker, Brad utilizes his message to support coaches, visionary entrepreneurs, and consultants by helping them to create the business that sets them free to live a life of fulfillment and of truth. If you find even just one piece of value or entertainment, or maybe we even just made you smile or laugh in this conversation with Brad, all that we ask is you share this show with just one other person who could use it as well. You are the reason that the Be Better broadcast has grown over 300 episodes and recently over 100,000 downloads over the course of 2 years, because you are the best part of the Be Better team. Without further ado, let's talk to the man himself, Mr. Brad Axelrad. Brad, great to have you on the show, my friend.
It's great to be here this morning.
Hey, man, you're living the life that you are sharing with your clients, which I think is super cool. You've lived in Costa Rica, you've lived in Thailand, like you're traveling the world. You live in Mexico now, which is amazing. You've been there for a year. So you are very much, I'm assuming you're very much living your purpose, and you're doing that each day. You said even at the beginning of this conversation that you've been running recently, you've been doing all these different things, and you saw that we had this conversation today. So I just want to commend you for all the things that you're doing and living the life that you preach, brother.
I'm just happy to be here, where I moved into late last night and got settled, and happy to be on today, and curious where we're gonna go with this conversation, and always open, and everything's open to discuss. So let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So you've got your show, which is the Face Your Dragons podcast. So talk to me when it comes to transforming fear into purpose, and when it comes to really opening up your purpose as a business owner, entrepreneur, business leader. What does it mean to face your dragons? Why is that the name of your show?
That's a long answer. I'll kind of sum it up. So nothing happens unless we lean in and face ourselves and lean into our fear. And there's things we want in life, but fears come up, challenges come up, discomfort comes up. Like, I'm a little bit uncomfortable right now in this new space. Like you said, I was scrambling and got on our podcast for 8 a.m. when I thought it was 9 a.m. So there's a little bit of discomfort pretty much right now in my body. I'm just owning it. I'm naming it. I'm speaking it out loud and feeling it fully. So that's kind of the first part of this aspect, is sort of facing and owning what we're experiencing instead of pushing it away. What we resist persists. What we don't love will only grow. So we want to love our fear, love our discomfort. So I'm in a little bit of that right now, in kind of scramble mode, getting settled back into a new place we moved into yesterday. So that's an element of it. But it started with me racing semi-professional motocross. I was almost pro, right about to go pro, and I ended up breaking my back and thought I had a hernia, but I actually had a cracked vertebra that was radiating pain into my groin. So I was like, man, what is going on? Something's wrong. But the point is, on the motocross start, there's 39 other blood-hungry competitors ready to just take on their life and totally just go for the win, right? And we need to do that as entrepreneurs. We need to step up to the plate, step up to the gate, get on the field, whatever it is, and feel that discomfort, then do it anyway. And fear is really excitement without the breath. Like, I need to take a breath right now. And we forget to breathe. It's so much about breathing, but there's more to that story, but I'll stop there.
I love that. You said a lot there. So you mentioned when you're experiencing that fear and discomfort in general, which I'm assuming by you saying that discomfort and fear share a space with each other. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Okay.
So the beauty in that is that we've got opportunity in that discomfort. And so many of us are constantly seeking comfort, including myself. How do I make this bed more comfortable that we just slept on for the first time? Comfort in all ways, in a car seat, in relationship, in our body, just whatever it is, what we're eating. We're all seeking comfort, whether it's through drugs, alcohol. We're trying to subdue discomfort at some level. We're addicted or distracted typically. And, you know, there's great power in this biochemical experience we're having, whatever it is. If we can learn to use the energy, we don't want to make it go away. We want to learn to channel it and not transmute it, but transform it into power. Like fear is fuel. This adrenaline and excitement, even I'm experiencing being interviewed. And I've got to let you guys in on a little secret. My number one hidden fear, not so hidden, is the fear of public speaking, believe it or not. And I've done it hundreds of times. I'm doing it right now, and I'm nervously excited, but I'm using that energy as fuel to be even more pumped up for this conversation.
That's right. I remember, man, I had a mentor when I first started delivering trainings to teams when I was in my early 20s, who said that if you're not feeling that discomfort, if you're not feeling that fear before you go on stage, before you go on a podcast, then something's wrong. Right? You're not going to perform nearly as well if you're not experiencing that fear. Just like I'm sure with you when it comes to motocross, before a race or before an event, I'm assuming that every single time, no matter how prepared you were, no matter where your skills were, what your skill level was, I'm assuming you felt fear and discomfort. And even those other people who are willing to put their life on the line in those competitions, I'm guessing through conversations with them, they all felt fear as well. Was that the case?
Without a doubt. And there's anytime I've stepped on stage, there's been a few times where I'm like, I'm going to rock this and I'm feeling fully in my power. And I'm certain that there were times I got on the motocross line and I was like ready to dominate. Right. But there's still this little voice that comes in that can say, you're going to get paralyzed today on the start straight. I had that numerous times. Today's the day you're going to get hurt. And it's like, should we listen to that intuition? Or is it really fear? And that's this delicate balance of tuning into, is it just the fear voice or the dark side? Or is it an actual intuition? And I've learned that I've had to really lean into that little voice no matter what. It's there. And sometimes to my demise, no doubt. But most of the time we collapse intuition with fear.
Yes.
It's a big one.
It is. I mean, everyone's experiencing it. The person who wants to go for the promotion, the business owner who wants to launch a new product, the person who wants to launch a business in general, and they're at a job that they don't like, they're at a path of life that they don't like, they want to move to a different part of the world. Like there's a huge fear attached with that because now you're not going to maybe have family around, or you don't know the area, you don't have any friends there. Like there's always these different elements of uncertainty and the unknown. And it's one thing to recognize this. It's one thing to help other people with this. It's another thing to begin a business centered around helping business leaders, helping people who are out there doing it really. If you think about who you help, it sounds like you help people who are out there helping other people. You're helping others who are also making moves in the world for the better good, right? So what inspired you to say, I'm going to take these learnings, and it looks like you started doing this around 2017 or so, maybe even earlier. What inspired you to start your business to help people to do this full time?
The podcast was in 2017, but I've been a transformational leader since 2005. So that started in 2000. Well, 2000, going to Tony Robbins, like, whoa, jump up and down, say yes, say yes. This is amazing. What is this party? And this is back when I was partying a lot in 2000. I'm like, this is a different kind of party. Wow, this is really cool. These people are high on life. They're high on something. How do I tap into this? Fast forward a couple of years. That was my first sort of touch into transformation or into personal development. I thought this is really cool. And then in 2003, for a couple of years, I'd been struggling a little bit in life, just in my emotions and things. And then for years, a friend said, Brad, you need to go to the Hoffman process. The Hoffman Institute is where it's at. So I start researching the Hoffman process. I'm like, this is amazing. Whatever this is, I have to go. And that was the first real dragon I had to face. And like I did 20, 30 hours of pre-work before that going in. It's like, what's your relationship to your job, to your mom, to your dad, to your siblings, to sex, to money, to alcohol, to sports? Tell us about an experience that you blah, blah, blah. So you're listing all these things that you're carrying with you, willingly or not. And then I did the 8-day, which is now 7 days, did the 8-day process and had this just mind-blowing experience spiritually, physically, emotionally, and intellectually. And you're walking around as your spiritual self when you leave this process. You're fully integrated as this just beautiful, like vibration. It's the only way to describe it. You are now just vibrating. Like we talk about being high vibes and all these things. You're living in that state. So I loved it so much and my life was really on this incredible trajectory. Things were going really well in my life. Everything was great. And then my dad got sick and we weren't sure what was going on. He died 4 months later, really quickly from a brain tumor. We thought he had a year to live. He was gone in 4 months. But here's the crazy thing. I was going back for the second edition or the second part of the Hoffman process, which is called the Q2. And I was living in Southern California at the time, and the Hoffman process is in Northern California. And my dad lived just south of it in Northern California. And he was really sick in bed. And I thought, wow, I've got to get up there and see him. So I went up to see him, but it was right before, 8 months before I had scheduled my Q2 at the Hoffman process. So here's how it aligned. 36 hours before I went to Q2, I watched my dad take his last breath.
Wow.
And it was so, I mean, I showed up to this process wailing where like people are probably looking at me like, why is this guy crying? We haven't even started this deep work yet. And he's completely losing it. You know, so 36 hours before I had the most transformative experience in my life of my dad's taking his last breath and then being at the process. But the point in all of this is those defining moments really show up for us to make a shift. And I raised my hand then at Hoffman to say, I want to keep this in my life. How do I do it? So I became the Orange County graduate facilitator of the Hoffman work in 2005. And I did that for a couple of years. Yeah. And that led into more events and then hundreds of events later. And that was my start. That was the genesis of becoming a transformational leader.
Wow, that must have had a profound impact on you for you to say that you're going to dedicate years of your life to also teach others this process. So when you went there and you said at the end of the process, you experienced this high, essentially, this high vibrational state. What was it? Like, what was there a specific element of it? Was there a specific learning or addition to your toolbox that helped you to feel that way? What is it about this? Because I've never heard about the Hoffman process.
Interesting. Okay.
So tell me, what was it that caused this feeling?
Yeah, here's one of the core principles in the Hoffman process is that, like I mentioned, your intellect, your spirit, your emotional self, and your physical self, that's your quadrinity. And from those two, your intellect and your emotional child or emotional self are at war. And we learn principles and concepts and strategies and tactics, and we're piling, you know, as landmark education says, it's icing on a mud pie, or basically we're polishing a turd by getting all we need to fix this wounded emotional child that's kicking and screaming like, please save me, help me, love me. And so we learn all these concepts and things instead of diving deep into the real work of healing our emotional self. So what happens through the process, I don't want to give it away. I hope everybody goes to this. It's just hoffmaninstitute.org. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just pray that everyone on the planet goes. Just like I pray everyone does ayahuasca. We didn't live in such a better place. Wow. Or DMT. But the Hoffman process, when you leave, there's this incredible cathartic, like visceral, you know, release of all this stuff that's in our body, and all these emotions are stored in our body. Our spiritual self's there just waiting for us to allow it to lead us. But no, we've got this strong intellect and I'll figure it out and I can think things through, and oh my God, I'm in trauma all the time. It's like, so it manifests. There's all these things happening for us. And when we integrate those and heal these aspects in ourselves, we lead from our spiritual self. We're not carrying all these subconscious negative thoughts and negative vibrations through the quantum field. neurologically, energetically, and we're walking through life fully integrated, fully alive, fully present. Like I drive fast as a motocross racer. I was driving 60 on the freeway for months. I didn't have music on. I'm just observing everything. You're fully present. You don't need to get present. You don't meditate to get present. You don't do spiritual shit to get spiritual. You are spiritual when you leave this place. Now, of course, over time, stuff piles back on and we need to, you know, unravel it again. Right.
So what are you doing on a daily basis to prevent the unraveling of these teachings?
I'm a bit of a mess right now. I got to be honest, in full transparency. I'm fucking scrambling around. We were trying to find a place, trying to import my car, trying to sell a car here. So moving forward, I will say that as we're now landed somewhere, I've been traveling the last couple of months. I was back in the States. I was floating around Playa del Carmen in different places. So we're now 6 months in a beautiful place, like yachts everywhere. It's just gorgeous here. I'm so grateful. So with that said, the yacht life, paddle boards is next. The goal is to get stand-up paddle boards, to really use that as sort of a walking meditation or a paddling meditation. But it's much more peaceful here. I'm going to have more space to drop back in, start the morning routine again. What I tend to do is drink coconut water with alkaline water mixed together. First thing, hit the mat, do some stretching. I make a really good smoothie. I've got this incredible smoothie with a spinach and avocado and mixed berries and spirulina and hemp seed and chia seed and plant protein, flaxseed. I think that's it in that one. Peanut butter. So I make sure I'm really charged up with fuel that keeps me hyped all day. I drink bone broth after I get hungry after drinking the smoothie. Then a healthy lunch. And then after that, when you hit that midday bog, I don't drink coffee. I stay away from all stimulants. Wow. In the middle of the day, I'll have vegetable juice. And that spikes me right back up. When everyone else is crashing, they'll hit coffee, sugar, something else. I'll have some green juice. And that just fires me up for the next 4 or 5 hours. And I'm able to put 10 hours in during the day and really just keep powerful. And adrenal support. I want to plug this for my friend Nick Delgado in Southern California. Adrenal DMG, Delgado Protocol. Nick Delgado, one of the best freaking supplements I've ever taken in my life to get off of coffee, to replace stimulants, to repair your adrenals that are probably destroyed from stress as an entrepreneur, from drugs, from alcohol, from caffeine. All those things are just wrecking our adrenals.
What is it about coffee why do you stay away from coffee? I ask this as a person who drinks coffee literally every single day. Why stop?
I try to notice addiction. So I want to mind the gap between stimulus and response and everywhere in my life. And I fail miserably sometimes. Don't get me wrong. I still get angry. I still get frustrated. But the point is, I'm tired. Okay. So that's the sort of thought or the experience. Okay. I now have a choice. What's my choice? To get something that's going to be sustainably healthy, that's going to be good for me, not going to destroy my gut lining or my adrenals. I'm sure there's good elements in coffee, no doubt, but I think we can get those from other things, just like saying red wine's healthy. But to answer your question specifically, I find that I'm up and down and jittery, and it's just not a healthy, sustainable energy that I'd rather have all day. There's great power in mushrooms. Great power in healthy fats. You know, I make sure I'm drinking alkaline water every day. I put electrolytes in my water. All these things can offset the need for coffee. As you suck your coffee there, I'm kidding. So coffee it's just an addiction. I'm always looking at what are we addicted to or what are we distracted by. That's part of the Face Your Dragon brand. So there's facing your dragon and chasing your dragon. You've probably heard these terms before. But we're chasing the dragon by way of trying to get to those emotional states again. Like coffee gives you a bunch of adrenaline, probably some dopamine, probably some serotonin. So how else can we get those chemicals in our experience without shortcuts? To me, coffee is just a cop-out and an addiction. You smell it, it smells amazing. I love it. I'm like, I watch my girlfriend addicted to coffee. We have to get her coffee. I've tried to get her off of it a couple times. She's not going to do it. Like, all right, just know that in the middle of the day, you're going to be kind of bogging down, do something else, get some vegetable juice, don't drink more coffee, have your coffee in the morning and cut it,
Yeah. Yeah. So manage it. If you're the person who's thinking, I'm not going to eliminate this, maybe manage it and look for, like you said, mushrooms, all the different way. Maybe not magic mushrooms, but maybe once in a while, right? We talked about that on the podcast. Nice. So I'm fascinated by you. Let me ask you a question. How old are you now?
Almost 51. Next month, I'm 51.
You look fantastic, and your energy is fantastic. So I'm 29. Okay, so I ask this from the standpoint of when you were 29 or 30, what did your vision look like then compared to what your vision is now? And I'll ask this as a loaded question of the lifestyle that you're living now. Was this something that you could even have imagined back then? Has it changed drastically? I'll let you take this in whatever direction you feel makes the most sense.
That's a great question, dude. 29. Okay, 29, I was engaged and buying real estate and working my ass off building my real estate empire and partying my ass off too. Ecstasy all the time, alcohol all the time, other drugs, mushroom. We didn't like cocaine much, but lots of partying, dancing, just dancing to house music. Like that was fun. At that point I was done racing motocross. I had my life back because motocross was fully committed. I was all in. It was my absolute life for like 8 years. Totally committed. I oriented everything I possibly could so that I could race more, rest more, practice more, wrench on the bikes in the garage more. And I was free from that. So 29 meant I moved to Southern California, Orange County, Huntington Beach at 26. I was like, wow, this is incredible down here. It opened up a new life. But I was still health conscious. I still tried to eat healthy. I didn't know what I know now. I mean, I just sold my ownership interest in a biohacking community. We were building biohacking franchises. So my awareness around what to do is much higher than it was at 29. So I never thought I would really live around the world. I always thought I wanted to explore things, but I never thought I would move out of the US per se. So that's something that was a bit of a surprise.
Okay.
But I also kind of just got bored, there's this big world out there I think we should live into and create a life and a business that sets us free to do what we really want, not trap us in our business or trap us in anywhere in one location. But I also don't have kids. I don't have animals, all by design, so that I can selfishly, I guess, explore the world and my inner and outer landscape. I don't know if that answered your question.
It did, and it opened other doors also. So how has I guess you've had several chapters of your life, right? You've had the motocross, and then you had the partying, and then you had really discovering this new purpose, this new mission.
Yeah.
How do you go about reinventing yourself in those different chapters? And I found it fascinating too when I asked you, how do you maintain these practices in your daily life? And you came out and you said, well, right now I'm not necessarily doing that because you're in a transitional moment right now. So this is another transitional moment for you, which it's cool to have caught you in, because who knows what your life will look like moving forward from this point, right? Yeah. Similar to how it was, but different because you're in a new place, and we all know environment and geography can change how you do things. So in these chapters, right, when you're 26, moved to California, you did motocross, you're not doing it anymore. How did you reinvent yourself? Was there a fear of letting go of the identity that you once had? And how did you move through that fear to reinvent yourself into that next new chapter of you?
Great questions, man. You've done this a couple times. You're at 300 episodes. I just want to commend you for that. It's no joke to do that. Being a motocrosser, a lot of what I'd learned and sort of programmed into myself was like, it's the #1 most physically demanding sport on the planet. Most websites will say that. Some will not, but it's incredibly difficult, incredibly challenging, and you just go until you can't. You got to push beyond that. So I've taken that with me, and sometimes to my detriment, in the sense that push, charge, go for it, masculine energy sometimes gets really tiring. You feel really depleted. But to answer your question, I've taken that with me in any leap. Like the hashtags I use a lot are face your dragon, so face your fear, take the leap, break free. So we've got to lean in and just go for what we want, and even feel the fear and do it anyway. Fear is excitement without the breath. Like all these things are just leaning in. It's like, okay, I'm not breathing and I'm feeling fear. Okay, do it anyway. And then you know, you got to kind of build the plane as you're flying. You know, there's just this, you got to leap. We got to leap, people. And thankfully, you entrepreneurs know that without a leap, you're not going to get anywhere in life. You got to try things, test things, do new things. And we can talk more about like strategies and tactics I'm using now. But yeah, that's really it. Just leap, go for it, and work your ass off, and be humble, be grateful. And that's another thing I really want to tune into with you guys here, is that oftentimes we want to make it about ourselves. When you were saying identity, well, how do you let go of that old identity, create a new one? That's all bullshit we need to let go of, and really recognize there's something deeper than that identification with things. Although it's really hard when we're younger, we're extremely identified with this personality or our label or our title. And I still even have that. But the point is, when good things were happening to me, and I want you guys to really tune into that, it's like humility and gratitude. I'm so humble and grateful that we created this with God, the universe. Not look what I created. Look how good I am. Look, I was on NBC Nightly News, and I was PBS Television, USC News, all these media. Look how cool I am. That was not my experience when I attracted all this media. I was just absolutely full reverence. Like, thank you, God, whatever. Thank you, universe. Humble and grateful, humble and grateful, humble and grateful. And I lose that sometimes, but that's really where it's at. When I'm in that state, shit works.
How do you do that? How do you detach from the identity?
Yeah, I think awareness first. So is this me? Is this really me? Is this my true self? Is this my best self? Is this my spiritual self, or is this my ego? Or like another thing. It's like, so awareness of it. It's like, who am I being, and what am I thinking when I've got this kind of experience of, look how good I am, or look how amazing I am. But I mean, there's a sense we should be proud of ourselves. I had to say that to my girlfriend. It's like, let's be proud we made it here. This is amazing. But also let's find the grace in it and try to disconnect from it. It's not about me. And that's back to your question about being in service. Like we didn't speak to that, or I didn't. It's like there comes a point where self-indulgence doesn't work anymore. And that's what was happening. It's like we need to move into being in contribution and being of service. So I worked with Mark Victor Hansen's daughter way back when I was first crafting my core message. And we came up with this title of The Grave of Self-Indulgence. And that was the process of me being this indulgent guy: drugs, women, motocross, extreme sports, all this indulgence, chasing the dragon anywhere I could, chasing the high anywhere I could. And that just doesn't serve us anymore. Some people do it forever, though. You can see they're just gluttonous forever. But the ones that are awakened finally say there's something deeper. The feather's tickling them. If they ignore the feather long enough, a brick hits them. If they shake the brick off, and get back at it, which I've done a couple times, the Mack truck will take them out. And that Mack truck was my dad dying. That I finally said, there's something I need to do here on this fucking planet. Please use me as a vessel of service. I'm ready to be used. I'm here. I'm done using the world. Like, use me. I'm ready. That's the bigger leap.
When you said use me, when you truly decided to let go, like, I'm a big fan of Wayne Dyer, and he said a lot, let go and let God, right? So with that experience with your father, and you saying, I need to change something, I really, truly want to be of service, I'm going to let go. Was it like an instant answer? Was it like, what happened at that moment? Did it take time for you to find that answer? Did it come to you? How did it come to you?
So massive pain and grief, wailing in my hallway in my condo in Costa Mesa, begging the universe to have my purpose show up so I didn't die like my dad did with his voice still in him, unused, unpurposeful. Great guy, but just didn't get this final switch to being in purpose and being of service. And he suffered because of that. You can see it. You see people suffering all the time. They have to be distracted or addicted to avoid that God whisper that's there. That's like, do something else, do something else, do something else. So wailing, just begging. And when, you know, a lot of people say high vibes only, you'll attract. And I used to run the Law of Attraction Center in Orange County, powered by CEO Space. I partnered with Sue. The point is, like, high vibes only. You'll only track good things when you're in high vibration. Okay. That's partially true. I think what's more true is we attract what we are really intending and asking for with massive amounts of emotion and energy and dedication and commitment to something bigger than us. That's when things manifest and show up. So literally within 8 weeks of starting a book study group on Ask It and Is Given, the teachings of Abraham, most people watching this probably know that. We were studying that and quantum physics and The Secret, and we're really just trying to grok this new milieu of thinking that was exposed to us. And of course, there were people studying it forever, but the public started to see quantum physics and the law of attraction and all these things like mainstream, right? So my point in saying all of this is that when we ask with massive intention and seriousness and humility to be in service, that's when stuff shows up.
Whoa. That's powerful, man.
Even though I want to say this is the piece though that I didn't say. Even when I was in the darkest vibrational place of my life, I was in despair. I did not think it was going to hurt this bad that when my dad died. I was in total fucking despair. That was the lowest vibrational moment of my life, and I attracted my purpose. Everything showed up from that. So we don't always attract from high vibration. Like things don't always vibrate together and attract together. It's just not true. Our brain emitting this frequency, and I think of John Assaraf, my friend John, like that's when it happens.
I've never heard someone describe it that way. That's very powerful. The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, you just mentioned it. It changed my life when I was 21.
Nice.
And the idea that you get what you think about, you become what you think about. And that was a totally alien idea to me. But I had no choice. At that point, I was 60 pounds heavier. I was in debt. I was unhappy. I was depressed. I was like, I've got no choice but to do something different. And when I started doing something different, the results followed. And I was like, this is absolutely astounding. So let's talk about strategy to wrap up this conversation, because I know a lot of people who, like you mentioned about your father, are great people. They just haven't stepped into their purpose or have found their purpose, maybe because they didn't have the opportunity or they weren't asking the right questions or they didn't let go, whatever it might be. There's a lot of people I know who have great ideas. They download a lot of information. They download a lot of knowledge. They're also at that Tony Robbins event that you were at in 2000. And then they were at the next one and the next one and the next one. Yep. And they're at every one, but they're not doing anything different. What's a strategy, a way to break that pattern of undoing so that they can move forward and give themselves to a new mission or purpose?
I just listened to a podcast that I did with Satyen Raja, Warrior Sage, one of my favorite teachings on the planet. And we talked about the downside of massive action. I think that was the title of the podcast. I had listened to it a couple of years. Satyen's one of the most brilliant people. It's just facialdragonpodcast.com if you guys want to go check these out. Like I did Don Miguel Ruiz of the 4 Agreements. He was guest number 1. Gay Hendricks of the Big Leap, guest number 2.
Great book.
Just JP Sears, like all these just crazy, powerful humans are all friends of mine that I wanted to interview. Season 1, season 2 will come out at some point. Okay. So, but the point is we talked about massive action. The first thing that came up when he said, what do you do? It's massive action. I like getting off of that stuck energy by just doing something, whether that action is what I should be doing or what I shouldn't be. And the reason I'm saying should or shouldn't is that I feel that if we're moving things forward in our lives, not distraction and afraid, like we're avoiding things out of fear, but if there's something else that needs to get done, go change your location, change your energy. If you're struggling to move and take massive action towards something, go take action somewhere else. Go for a walk, go paddleboard, go golfing, just try to shift it up. But I like to oftentimes do something that's going to move something else forward in my life, whatever it is. Go clean the garage, clean the car, something that makes you feel good. I think that's important. Just go take some action or take no action at all. Plant medicine's another great teacher. If you're willing to face yourself in that way, go do ayahuasca. Go sit with that. You'll have a lot of stuff show up.
Yeah.
My favorite medicine is 5-MeO DMT or Bufo. That's just so powerful to sort of pierce the veil. And what I like to say, it donkey punches your ego and it just splits you open. And then you can't resist with your ego or your personality or your intellect. It's like it just cuts right through it. So sometimes we need something stronger than meditating or paddling or walking or cleaning our garage. Like we need something to just pierce right through it.
That's great. I want to ask you 2 rapid fire questions, but before that, I know that throughout this conversation, we've been talking about fear, how it relates to purpose, how it relates to creating a life of fulfillment. You have a 1-minute quiz at couragequiz.com that people can take in order to discover what you call the #1 hidden fear that is stopping us from maybe even taking action, like you just mentioned. So what can people expect to take away from just this 1-minute quiz and exercise?
Well, the quiz leads to a video sales letter that explains this in great detail. But the 5 dragons, you're going to figure out which dragon is really keeping you stuck with fear. And it's imposter, scarcity, value, unheard, or critics. So as entrepreneurs, as orators, speakers, authors, coaches, authors, I think I said that twice, we bump into these things somewhere along the journey. Who am I to share this message on a podcast right now? Who am I to start a business? Nobody will buy from me anyway. So we have these hidden fears somewhere underneath us that's preventing us or creating procrastination typically from doing what we could do or should do to build our business. So you'll discover what that is, do a deep dive into that. And then there's a training that's going to be focused on that specific hidden fear that's going to help you dive deeper and understand kind of my hero's journey or your hero's journey and what you can do to leverage these fears into your great work in the world. That's what it's about. These are all here to serve you. It's about leveraging them into your great work in the world.
That's amazing. Super cool. So guys, go to the description, or if you're listening and you can't go to the description, go to couragequiz.com so you can take that 1-minute quiz, which will then help you discover which of those 5 dragons is most valuable for you. And then you can watch the training video on that to take this even further. Super cool, Brad. I love it. 2 rapid fire questions. First one, in a minute or less, what is a takeaway that you live with still after your ayahuasca and DMT journey, or both?
Woo! Just as you said it, it got me re-anchored to the experience of surrender. Like it's just like the medicine teaches you surrender. There's beautiful colors and shapes and so much love pouring in. This is in particular on 5-MeO DMT. Ayahuasca is a little bit more of a motherfucker, but 5-MeO can be pretty intense in that way too. So love and surrender, allowing love in and through and just cycling love through and opening to the beauty of this creator, this creation, all that's here for us.
That's beautiful, man. I haven't done DMT or ayahuasca, but I have done magic mushrooms, and my friend and I did a heroic dose a couple of years back.
Geez.
And love was the key takeaway for me too. That feeling of connectedness with everybody and everything, and also that understanding of love is the only thing. Love is the only answer.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. I can't wait to try both of those things myself in the future when the time comes. The second and final rapid fire is, if you could broadcast a single message to every human being on earth when it comes to the topics of fear, purpose, or fulfillment, what would that message or takeaway be to those individuals?
Love your fear and you will love yourself in a way that you can live free. Resistance to what is what's causing all the pain in you. So Byron Katie's work, Loving What Is such a profound book. Allowing yourself to feel the breakdown in yourself. Like, stop resisting what's there and name it, communicate it out loud to people, more importantly to yourself, and own it and love your fear. That's it.
Damn. That's powerful. I've loved this conversation, brother. You've given us a ton of takeaways. I love that saying of love your fear. That's the thumbnail. I had a different thing, but that's even better. So love your fear. Incredible. Thank you for that takeaway. Thank you for this inspiring conversation. And we got to have you back for part 2 at some point.
I love that.
Once you get situated, we'll have you back for part 2. How about that?
Please, please.
Okay. This was fun. Thank you very much, Brad, for taking the time. And congratulations to you in this next transition in your life, my friend.
Thank you so much. I'm super grateful to be here.
No matter where you're at in your life, whether you're in one of life's transitional moments, whether you are at this point of reinvention, this point of a new chapter, or whether you know there's something that you want to do, whether it's start the business, get the promotion, ask out the girl, right? Propose to the girl, marry the girl, whatever part of life you're at, I know that this conversation with Brad has left you with at least one thing that you can take and most importantly, use right now. You heard Brad, the number one strategy is to take action, right? Move forward in some area, even if it's as simple as cleaning the car, cleaning out the garage, starting with making your bed in the morning, whatever it is, start taking massive action, start to love your fear and move forward regardless, and watch the life that you create for yourself. If you took away even just one thing from this conversation with Brad, please share this show with just one other person who could use it as well. Be sure to go take Brad's 1-minute quiz to discover the hidden fear that's holding you back and how you can overcome it with a training video afterwards at couragequiz.com. Be sure to go check out his podcast, Face Your Dragons, at faceyourdragons.com. And links, of course, will be in the description as well. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching and listening. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.